My wife cheated with her boss, then stole $250, $0 from our joint account to run away with him. Now she's claiming I'm the one committing fraud in a bitter legal battle over our house worth $1.2 million. I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing this out, but here I am. The craziest thing hit me when I found a hotel receipt in her purse, one that wasn't mine. Turns out, that was just the tip of the iceberg. My wife Lisa had been acting weird for months, but I kept convincing myself it was just work stress or maybe her being tired. I didn't want to believe she was cheating on me. We had a good life, or so I thought. Our house is worth over $1 million, and we had a joint account with nearly $250, $0 in it. I worked my ass off for that money, and I trusted her with everything. Lisa is the kind of woman who always knew how to push my buttons, bitchy, manipulative, and good at spinning stories. She'd lie through her teeth if it meant protecting herself. She's the type to call you paranoid when you start asking questions about her late nights and secretive phone calls. But I noticed her phone was always locked, her behavior was inconsistent, and she was suddenly very secretive about her location. It was subtle at first. She'd leave her phone on the charger and then suddenly grab it and run to the bathroom whenever I got close. Small things, but enough to make me suspicious. One night I was home alone, just scrolling through our bank app, trying to relax after a long day. That's when I saw the transfer. A transfer of $250, $0 gone. I froze. My heart pounded. I checked the details. It was from our joint account made out to some offshore account. My stomach sank. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I immediately thought she's stealing from us. I didn't even know she was capable of that kind of betrayal. I felt a mix of shock, anger, and helplessness all at once. How could she do this? I started digging, trying to piece together what I knew and what I didn't. That's when I found out she had been secretly meeting her boss, Mark, for months. I'd seen her phone records, late-night texts, and secret calls. Even caught her in a lie about a business trip she was supposedly taking. Turns out she was with Mark, doing more than just work. She'd been having sex with him, and not just once or twice, probably for months. The betrayal stung worse than I thought possible. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut every time I remembered her lying, her sneaking around, her pretending everything was fine. I confronted her that night. I couldn't keep it inside anymore. I told her I knew about Mark. Her face twisted into that typical bitchy smirk, like she thought she was clever, like she'd outsmarted me. She denied everything at first, calling me paranoid, accusing me of spying, and saying I was just jealous. She insisted she loved me, that it was just a fling, that it meant nothing. But I knew better. I saw her trembling when I laid out the evidence. I told her I knew about the money, about her plans to run away with Mark. Her eyes flashed with anger, and she started throwing lies faster than I could process. She claimed I was the one committing fraud, that I had somehow manipulated the bank to steal our money, that I was trying to ruin her reputation. She even accused me of being controlling, of pushing her away. It was all bullshit. I was furious, but mostly I felt crushed. How did she turn into this person? How did I miss all the signs? I'd trusted her with everything. Our house, our savings, our future. And she was planning to take it all and run. The emotional roller coaster was brutal. I went from feeling numb to raging anger to deep sadness. I kept asking myself what I did wrong, why she thought she could get away with this. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly a little scared. What if she took everything? What if she left me with nothing? The thought of losing our house, our life savings, everything we built, it was almost too much to bear. I realized I had to make a decision. I couldn't let her walk all over me. But I didn't know what that decision was yet. I just knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. After that confrontation, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. My mind kept replaying her lies, her sneaking around, the way she looked at me with that fake smile. I started digging into her phone, her email, anything that could give me more clues. I needed to understand how deep her betrayal went. That's when I found the messages with Mark, flirty, explicit, saying things like, "Can't wait to see you tonight, and you're the only one who makes me feel alive." It was all right there. I also discovered she'd been meeting him at a hotel downtown, sometimes late at night, sometimes early mornings. It was like my world was crashing down around me. I felt sick. The woman I married, the woman I loved, was cheating on me with her boss and stealing from us. How could she do this? She always acted like she was the victim, like I was the problem. She told me I was controlling, that I didn't trust her, but the truth was, I just wanted honesty. I wanted her to be faithful, not a liar or a thief. Seeing those messages, knowing she'd been lying for months, made me furious. I felt betrayed on a level I'd never experienced before, like my entire life was a lie. I decided I had to confront her again, but this time, I had a plan. I needed her to admit everything to see her squirm. I told her I knew about Mark, that I had all the evidence. Her reaction was classic. She started crying, claiming she was sorry, that she loved me, that it was a mistake. She said she was just stressed, that Mark was just a distraction, that she never meant to hurt me. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I saw her for what she was, a manipulative, selfish woman who thought she could get away with anything. The more she lied, the angrier I got. I told her I was done. I was done trusting her, done pretending everything was okay. I told her I knew she was planning to run away with Mark, that she'd stolen money from our joint account to fund her escape. I was furious that she thought she could just walk away with everything and leave me with the wreckage. I told her I'd call the bank, the police if I had to, and that I'd fight for every penny of that house and money she was trying to take. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done. The thing that really hit me was the realization that she'd been lying to my face for months. She'd been so good at hiding her affair, so convincing when she said she loved me. But the truth was, she cared about herself more than anything else. She'd been planning her escape for a while. I felt a mix of sadness and rage. Sad because I'd lost the woman I thought I knew, and rage because she'd betrayed me so deeply. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it coming, how I let her get away with so much. It was like I was blind, and now I was paying the price. I knew I had to take control of the situation. I couldn't just sit back and let her run off with our money and our house. I started researching how to freeze our joint account, how to get a restraining order if needed, and what my legal options were. I reached out to a lawyer the next day. I needed to protect what was mine. I also started thinking about what I wanted from all this mess. I realized I didn't want her back, not after what she did. I wanted her out of my life, and I wanted justice. If she thought she could steal from me and walk away, she was dead wrong. That night I sat alone in the house, feeling numb but also strangely determined. I looked at the pictures of us, the memories we made, and I knew I had to move on. I couldn't let her win. I couldn't let her take everything I worked for. The betrayal cut deep, but I also knew I had to be smart about how I handled this. I wasn't going to let her manipulate her way out of this one. I was done being the victim. It was time to fight back, no matter how much it hurt. The next few days were a whirlwind. I moved quickly, calling my lawyer first thing, freezing the joint account and gathering every piece of evidence I had. I knew Lisa was planning something, probably trying to cover her tracks, so I had to act fast. I also started noticing more things: her phone disappearing, her mood swinging wildly, and her becoming more defensive whenever I brought up the money or her whereabouts. It was clear she knew she was cornered, and her bitchy side was coming out more with each passing hour. I confronted her again that morning. I had all her recent messages, her bank transfer proof, and her hotel receipts. I laid it all out on the table. Her eyes widened when she saw the bank statement, and her face turned bright red with rage. She denied everything at first, saying I was making it all up, that I was just jealous of her success at work, that Mark was just a friend. But I wasn't buying her lies anymore. I told her I knew about her plans to run away with Mark, how she'd been planning this for months, stealing our money to finance her escape. Her reaction was classic. She started screaming, calling me a controlling asshole, that I was ruining her life, that she was just trying to find happiness. She said I was the one committing fraud, trying to take her house away, trying to destroy her. I looked her straight in the eyes and told her I wasn't going to let her get away with this. I told her she was done, that I was filing for divorce, and that I was going to take her to court to get every penny back. Her face twisted into a sneer and she spat at me. "You're just a jealous loser. You'll never win." That was the moment I realized she was truly dangerous. She was willing to burn everything down just to save herself. Her lies kept coming, but I didn't care anymore. I knew I had enough evidence to prove her guilt. I was angry but also relieved. I finally had a plan. I contacted the police and my lawyer, and I made sure to document everything. I wanted her to understand that I wasn't going to be pushed around anymore. In the days that followed, Lisa's bitchy attitude only got worse. She called me names, accused me of everything under the sun, and kept insisting she was the real victim. She told friends and family I was crazy, that I was trying to ruin her reputation. But I didn't care. I knew the truth, and I knew I had to protect myself, our house, and our money. I also knew I couldn't let her manipulate me or anyone else anymore. The more she lied, the more determined I became to see this through too. And at the same time, I was starting to feel a strange mixture of relief and heartbreak. Part of me wanted to fight for us, to save what's left of the marriage or at least get some closure. But deep down, I knew she had crossed the line. Her betrayal was too severe. The woman I married was gone, replaced by someone selfish and manipulative. I'd always believed in the vows, in loyalty and trust, but she threw all that away for Mark and a quick escape. Now I was focused on the legal battle ahead. I had to figure out how to get our house appraised, how to stop her from selling it behind my back, and how to recover the stolen money. The lawyer told me I had a solid case, especially with the bank records and her hotel receipts. It was clear she'd been planning her escape for a long time. The thought of losing everything was terrifying, but I refused to let her win. I'd fight for what was rightfully mine, no matter how bitter it got. This wasn't just about money or a house anymore. It was about standing up to her lies and betrayal. The legal process moved fast once I handed everything over to my lawyer. I knew Lisa was trying to spin her story, call me a crazy, jealous husband, but I had enough proof to tear her lies apart. The bank confirmed the transfer, the hotel receipts backed up her meetings with Mark, and her phone records showed the flurry of secret texts. I also discovered she'd been hiding money in accounts I didn't even know about, trying to stash away her escape fund. The more I uncovered, the clearer it became she had been planning this for months, probably since she started her affair with Mark. Her reaction to all this was predictable but infuriating. She started accusing me of controlling her, making her life miserable, and said I was the real villain in all this. She told our friends I was paranoid and crazy, that I was just jealous of her success and her affair. I heard her spinning stories, claiming I was trying to ruin her reputation to cover my own guilt. But I didn't care what she said anymore. I saw her for what she was, selfish, manipulative, and utterly untrustworthy. I knew I had to take decisive action. One day, I sat her down and told her I was filing for divorce. I also told her I was going after full custody of the house and the money she stole. Her face twisted into a mean glare, and she snapped back that she'd fight me every step of the way. She said I was just trying to control her, that I was jealous, and that I'd never win. I told her that she was done playing the victim, that her lies and betrayal had sealed her fate. I could see her simmering with anger, but I was calm, focused on the facts on the legal side. The police got involved when I reported the theft of the money. They took her statements, but I knew she was lying to cover her tracks. She kept insisting she was innocent, that she was just trying to rebuild her life. But I had the evidence, and her own words, showing she planned this all along. I also hired a private investigator to keep tabs on her. Turns out she'd been meeting Mark in secret, sometimes at hotels, sometimes at her sister's place. I wasn't surprised anymore. I knew she was trying to disappear with Mark and our money. Meanwhile, Lisa's attitude got even more bitchy and aggressive. She called me names, accused me of controlling her, and said I was just a jealous loser who couldn't handle her success. She insisted she loved Mark and that she was leaving me for good. But I wasn't buying her lies anymore. The truth was plain. She was trying to run away with her boss, stealing from us, and destroying everything we built. I felt a mix of anger, heartbreak, and frustration every time I thought about her betrayal. How could she do this to me, to us? I started preparing for the worst-case scenario. She might try to sell the house behind my back or hide the stolen money. I instructed my lawyer to put a freeze on the house and the bank accounts. I also filed for a court order to prevent her from leaving the state. I realized I might have to go to court to get full custody of the house and to recover the stolen funds. This was no longer just about betrayal, it was about justice. I refused to let her walk away and leave me with nothing. I also started thinking about what I wanted for myself moving forward. I realized I'd spent so much time trusting her, believing in us, but she threw that all away. I couldn't fix what was broken, but I could make sure she paid for what she did. I knew I had to be strong, not just for myself, but for the house, for the future I still hoped to salvage, and for the principle of standing up against her manipulations. I was determined to see this through, even if it meant a long, bitter fight. In the meantime, I kept my emotions in check, mostly. Every time I saw her bitchy smirk or heard her lie, I felt like screaming, but I knew I had to stay focused. I had to be smart, methodical, and relentless. I wasn't going to let her destroy everything I had worked for. The house, the money, my dignity, they all depended on how I handled this. I was prepared to fight her in court, to expose her lies, and to reclaim what's mine. This was war, and I wasn't backing down. The court dates came faster than I expected. I was prepared, but every day waiting for the hearing felt like an eternity. Lisa's lawyers were trying to spin her story, claiming she was the innocent victim of my controlling behavior, that she was just trying to rebuild her life after a rough patch. They argued that she deserved the house because she'd been the primary caregiver for the last few years, and that I was trying to manipulate the situation. But I had all the evidence: bank transfers, hotel receipts, her secret messages. I knew the truth and wasn't going to let her gaslight her way out of this. My lawyer filed a motion to freeze the house and all accounts related to our joint assets. I also took steps to secure the house, changing locks, and making sure she couldn't sell or transfer anything without my knowledge. The court granted a temporary injunction, which meant she couldn't leave the state or sell the house until the final ruling. I felt a small sense of relief, but I knew the battle was far from over. Lisa was furious, calling me every name in the book, accusing me of ruining her life and threatening to ruin me in return. During the court hearings, Lisa sat there with that bitchy smirk, trying to act like she was the victim. She denied everything, of course, claiming I was trying to control her and that I was jealous of Mark. Her lawyer was doing the same, trying to paint her as a misunderstood victim of my supposed abuse of power. But the judge wasn't buying it. I presented all my evidence, screenshots, bank statements, her hotel check-ins, and laid out exactly how she'd planned her escape, stealing from us and betraying our vows. The courtroom was tense. I could feel the weight of it all pressing down. The judge listened carefully, then made a ruling that surprised no one. The house would be split, or rather, I would get full custody of it, and she'd be ordered to return the stolen money. I also filed for full divorce, which was granted quickly. I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. All I wanted was to wake up from this nightmare, but I knew it was far from over. Lisa was still fighting, still trying to manipulate her way out of the consequences. What really struck me during those hearings was how manipulative Lisa was. She kept crying, trying to look innocent, but her eyes betrayed her. I saw her sneering when she thought I wasn't looking. I realized she'd been lying for so long, she didn't even know how to tell the truth anymore. Her bitchy attitude was just her way of trying to control the narrative, to make everyone see her as the victim. But I wasn't going to let her win. I had enough evidence to prove her guilt, and I was determined to get justice. In the aftermath of the court's decision, Lisa's behavior only got worse. She threatened me, called me names, and tried to smear my reputation with our friends and family. She told everyone I was some kind of controlling monster, but I didn't care anymore. I knew the truth and I had the evidence. The money she stole, $250, was going to be recovered through the courts, and I was going to fight her for every penny of our house's value. I felt exhausted, but also more resolved than ever. I was done being the victim. Now I was the one fighting back, and I wouldn't stop until I had justice. Looking back, I realize how much this whole ordeal has changed me. I learned that trust can be broken. In a second, that people can hide their true selves behind a mask. I also learned that sometimes you have to fight for what's right, even if it means tearing down the illusions you once believed in. If there's one thing I want others to take from this, it's this: don't ignore the signs. If something feels off, dig deeper. Protect yourself and your assets. Because when betrayal hits, it hits hard, and the only way to survive it is to stand your ground. The final court hearing was a blur. By then, I'd gone through so much emotional exhaustion, anger, betrayal, that I barely recognized myself. Lisa sat there, still trying to look innocent, but her bitchy smirk was replaced by a look of desperation. She knew she'd lost. The judge ruled in my favor on almost every point: full custody of the house, the return of the stolen $250, $0, and a restraining order preventing her from contacting me or selling any property without my approval. That moment when the judge slammed the gavel felt like a small victory, a long, bitter road finally coming to an end. After the ruling, Lisa's reactions ranged from furious to defeated. She screamed at me in the courtroom, calling me every name under the sun, accusing me of ruining her life, of being the real criminal. But none of that mattered anymore. I had what I needed: justice, proof of her lies, and the house that I'd fought so hard to keep. Watching her walk out of the courtroom, tears streaming down her face, I felt a strange kind of relief mixed with emptiness. I'd won the battle, but the war had taken everything from me: my trust, my peace, my sense of security. In the weeks that followed, I focused on rebuilding. I changed the locks, cleaned out her stuff from the house, and started the process of healing. I knew I'd need time to forget the betrayal, to forget the woman I loved who turned out to be someone I barely recognized. I also started the long process of recovering the stolen money through the courts. It wasn't easy. Lisa fought tooth and nail to hide it, but I was relentless. The legal system worked in my favor, and eventually I got most of the $250, $0 back. It wasn't just about the money. It was about reclaiming what was stolen from me, piece by piece. Looking back, I realize how much I've learned from this nightmare. Trust is fragile, and betrayal can come from the people you least expect. I've become more cautious, more guarded, but also more aware of my own strength. I learned that sometimes you have to fight dirty to protect what's yours. That revenge isn't just about hurting the other person. It's about justice, about making sure they face the consequences of their actions. And most importantly, I learned that no matter how much you love someone, you can't change them if they're determined to destroy what you have. Now I'm finally moving on. I've started over, focusing on my career, my health, and finding happiness again. The house is mine, the money is recovered, and I have no more ties to Lisa. Her bitchy, manipulative side is a thing of the past. I don't regret trusting her once, but I do regret not seeing the signs sooner. If there's one thing I want others to take away from this story, it's this: protect yourself, listen to your instincts, and never ignore the red flags. Because when betrayal hits, it's brutal, and the only way out is to stand tall and fight back. That's what I did, and I'm finally free.